Your mind is pulled in 10 directions before you even finish your morning coffee. This constant distraction makes any meaningful, long-term goal feel impossibly distant. 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosopher Seneca offered a simple but profound antidote. He said that each day we should ask ourselves, how have I improved? What habits have I corrected? This is the heart of Stoic interval reflection, a practice far more about gaining clarity than imposing rigid discipline. By the end of this, you will understand how to build the mental resilience required to lock your focus onto what truly matters for the long haul. We will explore how ancient techniques can quiet modern noise and why examining your day is the secret to mastering your attention for years to come. What single goal would you pursue if you knew your focus would not waver? When was the last time you truly stopped to examine your day without a hint of judgment? This is the essence of Stoic interval reflection, a deliberate practice of pausing to review your thoughts and actions. It is not passive thinking or dwelling on mistakes. It is a structured exercise for gaining perspective, a tool for clarity rather than a source of self-criticism. The Stoics of ancient Rome, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, built their lives around this very habit. They would end their days with a quiet review, not to focus on shortcomings, but to understand their reactions and align their actions with their principles. Marcus Aurelius himself wrote in his Meditations about the necessity of retreating into yourself, for the mind can renew itself when it explores its own depths. Imagine a professional finishing a difficult meeting. Instead of immediately rushing to the next task, they take just 5 minutes. They reflect not on who was right or wrong, but on their own responses. Did their reply come from a place of calm intention, or was it a defensive impulse? This simple pause creates a space between event and reaction, a space where wisdom can grow. Think of one moment from your own recent past, perhaps just yesterday. If you had taken a brief, honest pause to reflect, how might your perspective on that situation have shifted? Not everything that captures your worry is worthy of your long-term focus. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply, and they developed a powerful mental filter to separate the meaningful from the merely distracting. This is the dichotomy of control, and it becomes your most valuable tool during a period of reflection. The core idea is beautifully simple. Some things are within our power, while others are not. Our own judgments, our impulses, our desires, and our actions, these are up to us. Everything else, from the opinions of others to the final outcome of our projects, is not entirely within our control. The philosopher Epictetus put it directly when he wrote that the chief task in life is to identify and separate matters, so that we can say clearly to every external obstacle, you are an appearance and not the thing you appear to be. Reflection is the practice of applying this filter to the events of your day. It is not about ignoring external events, but about shifting your primary attention to the one thing you truly command, your own response. Consider a project manager facing a significant delay on a critical launch. The delay itself, the frustration of clients, the potential financial impact, these are largely outside of her direct control in the present moment. A reactive mind would spin in cycles of anxiety about these external factors, but a reflective mind, trained in the dichotomy of control, would pause. She would use her reflection time to ask, what is within my power right now? Her honest assessment of the situation, her decision to communicate proactively with her team, her choice to focus on solving the next solvable problem, these are her domains of power. By focusing her mental energy here, she stops draining her focus on the unchangeable and directs it toward effective action. This is how you build long-term focus, by continually training your mind to invest its energy only where it can make a difference. Take a moment and bring to mind 3 concerns currently occupying your thoughts. It could be a strained relationship, a work deadline, or a personal goal that feels out of reach. Now apply the filter, write them down if you can. For each one, ask yourself, which parts of this situation are truly within my control? You will likely find that a great deal of your mental space is being consumed by things you cannot change. The practice of reflection, of consciously categorizing your worries, does not make the external challenges disappear. What it does is liberate a tremendous amount of mental energy that was being wasted, energy you can now redirect toward the sustained focus your most important goals demand. What if the secret to long-term focus was found in moments of intentional stillness? This is the practice of the micro-pause, a brief and deliberate check-in with yourself that anchors your awareness firmly in the present. The Stoics taught that a life well lived is composed of moments well used. Seneca wrote that life is long if you know how to use it, a reminder that our true resource is not the vague future, but the specific and tangible present moment we are in right now. These micro-pauses are the practical application of that wisdom. They are not breaks from your work, but rather integrations of your philosophy into the very fabric of your day. Think of them as taking a philosophical breath, a short interval to reset your intention and reconnect with what you can control. Consider a writer deeply immersed in a complex chapter. The words are flowing, but the argument is becoming tangled. Instead of pushing through with rising frustration, they lean back from the keyboard for a single minute. In that minute, they do not check their phone or plan their evening. They simply breathe and ask a quiet, Stoic-aligned question. Is my current effort aligned with the core message I intend to convey? This tiny interval of reflection acts as a course correction, pulling their focus from the clutter of minor details back to the true north of their long-term goal. It is in these accumulated moments of presence that the stamina for a months-long project is built. Your focus is not a single, unbroken beam, but a flame that must be continually sheltered from the winds of distraction and reactivity. These intentional pauses are that shelter. They are how you reclaim your attention moment by moment, ensuring it is invested in your work and not dissipated by every passing thought. For your next work session, challenge yourself to implement just one intentional 1-minute pause. When you feel the impulse to rush or become scattered, stop. Breathe, ask yourself, what is my intention for this hour, and is my current action serving it? Observe the subtle but powerful shift that occurs when you choose presence over haste. Our days can become a chain of automatic reactions, a life lived on autopilot. A critical email arrives and your stomach tightens with a flash of emotion. A plan falls through and frustration takes over before you have even fully processed the change. This is the realm of reactive impulse, where our long-term intentions are constantly interrupted by momentary feelings. Interval reflection is the practice that builds a vital gap between that initial stimulus and your final response. It is a form of mental training that interrupts the autopilot, creating a space for you to choose your action rather than being controlled by your first impulse. The Stoics called this wisdom, the ability to see things clearly and respond with intention instead of being swept away by appearances. Epictetus offered a cornerstone of this wisdom when he wrote that people are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. The event itself is neutral until your judgment labels it as a challenge or an inconvenience. Reflection is the process of examining that judgment before it dictates your behavior. Picture someone opening a performance review that contains unexpectedly direct criticism. The reactive impulse is visceral, a surge of defensiveness, a desire to argue or withdraw completely. This is the autopilot taking over, but someone practicing thoughtful reflection would feel that same surge, and then they would create a pause. In that space, they would apply the tools we have discussed. They would acknowledge the feedback, the thing outside their full control. Then they would turn their focus inward to what is within their power, their judgment of the comments and their chosen response. Instead of a defensive email, they might choose to sit with the observations for an hour, separating useful insights from poorly delivered opinions. They might decide to ask for a clarifying conversation, focusing on understanding rather than being understood. This shift from reactive defense to proactive seeking of clarity is the difference between a moment that derails your focus and one that strengthens it. Think back to a recent moment where you reacted impulsively. Perhaps it was a sharp word with a loved one or a moment of hesitation when a difficult task appeared. Now, reimagine that moment with a reflective pause inserted right after the trigger. What different choice might that space have allowed you to make? That choice is the essence of proactive living, and it is the very material from which unwavering long-term focus is forged. The Stoics did not merely think deeply, they wrote it down. Their most profound insights were not left to drift in their minds but were captured in ink, transforming fleeting thoughts into lasting principles. This act of writing is the engine of structured reflection, a practice that turns the vague desire for focus into a tangible, daily discipline. Your mind can sometimes reshape the past to fit your mood, but the written word provides a steady point of honesty, a record of your progress and your patterns. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, composed his meditations not for publication, but for himself, as a written dialogue to strengthen his own understanding and guide his attention back to virtue. His personal journal became one of history's most enduring guides to a focused and resilient life. Similarly, the letters of Seneca are masterclasses in reflective writing, where he explored complex ideas of human nature and purpose with his friend Lucilius. He was not just sharing advice, he was clarifying his own thinking through the very act of writing. To start your own practice, you need no elaborate system. A simple, consistent template is all it takes to build the habit. Each evening, ask yourself just 3 questions and write the answers. What was my primary intention for my focus today? What specific events or internal thoughts most pulled my attention away? And based on this, what is one small adjustment I can make tomorrow to better protect my focus? This is not about writing pages, it is about capturing the signal through the noise. The power lies in the consistency, in seeing the patterns emerge over days and weeks. You begin to notice that a certain type of task consistently shifts your attention, or that a particular time of day is when your focus feels most delicate. This written record transforms abstract goals into a concrete map of your mental landscape. For the next 7 days, challenge yourself to 1 sentence of evening reflection in a notebook. Just 1 honest sentence about where your focus went and why. This tiny act, repeated, starts to build a new awareness, a quiet observer within you that learns to recognize distraction before it takes hold. A recent setback can feel like a wall, a point where your progress simply stops. But what if you began to see that same obstacle not as a failure, but as a collection of invaluable data? This shift in perspective is the very foundation of emotional resilience, a quality the Stoics considered essential for any long-term endeavor. It is not about avoiding hardship, but about using reflection to transform that hardship into strength. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge you face is secretly a training ground, an opportunity to build the resilience that will sustain your focus for years to come." Consider an entrepreneur whose latest product launch fell far short of expectations. The initial data is disappointing and the financial impact is real. A reactive approach would be to dwell on what went wrong, to see it as a final verdict on the idea or their own capability. This is where discouragement takes root and long-term focus withers. But an entrepreneur practicing Stoic reflection would pause with that same information. They would sit down and calmly ask, what does this outcome truly teach me? Perhaps they learned that their marketing message did not resonate with the core audience, or that a key feature was misunderstood. These are not failures, they are crucial lessons. The setback itself becomes the very thing that clarifies their path forward, making their next attempt smarter and more focused. Your resilience grows each time you choose to mine the lesson from the difficulty instead of letting the difficulty define you. Bring to mind one current challenge in your own life, something that feels like a blockage. Now reframe it, see it as your personal training ground. Ask yourself, what specific skill is this situation inviting me to develop? Is it patience, better planning, or clearer communication? By extracting the lesson, you are not ignoring the discomfort of the obstacle. You are simply choosing to build your strength with it, ensuring that your focus remains locked on the long path ahead, no matter what stands in the way. Are your daily actions a true reflection of who you want to become? This question sits at the very center of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics taught that a good life is one lived in accordance with nature and reason, which for us means aligning our behavior with our deepest, most virtuous values. But in the rush of daily obligations, this alignment can easily slip. We become busy, but are we moving in the right direction? Interval reflection is the compass that shows us the true north of our character. It acts as a quiet, nightly audit, revealing the subtle gaps between what we say is important and how we actually spend our time and energy. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno, pointed to this path when he said that happiness is a good flow of life, a life in harmony with one's own nature. Reflection is the practice that checks the flow, ensuring it remains good and true. Imagine a person who deeply values creative expression. They spend a week caught in a flurry of administrative tasks, meetings, and emails. They were productive, checking off dozens of small items from a list. Yet, during their evening reflection, a quiet unease surfaces. They realize that in all that busyness, they did not write a single sentence of the novel that calls to them. The reflection does not scold them for being busy, it simply illuminates the misalignment. Their value was creativity, but their actions were purely administrative. This clarity is not a verdict on failure, it is a gift of direction. It shows them exactly where to steer their focus tomorrow to feel more integrated and purposeful. Now take a moment for your own reflection. List your top 3 core values in your mind. Perhaps they are integrity, growth, or connection. Now look back at your actions from yesterday with gentle honesty. How many of your choices, from the work you prioritized to the words you spoke, actively supported those values? The answer is not about judgment, but about navigation. This daily check is how you ensure your long-term focus is not just on any goal, but on becoming the person you truly wish to be. Procrastination is rarely about laziness, but a failure of perspective. We look at a massive, distant goal and our mind freezes, interpreting the sheer scale as a threat. Interval reflection dismantles this fear by bringing your attention back to the single, manageable step right in front of you. The Stoic philosopher Seneca observed this human tendency with piercing clarity. He wrote that we are always complaining that our days are few and acting as though there would be no end of them. Life does hasten by while we postpone the work that defines our purpose. Reflection is the deliberate act of stopping that postponement. It invites you to sit with the task you are avoiding and ask the simple, powerful question, why? Is it a fear of an imperfect outcome, a feeling of being overwhelmed by ambiguity, or a lack of clarity on how to even begin? The moment you identify the mental block, it loses its power. You can then use reflection to recommit, not to the entire monumental project, but to the very next physical action required. Picture a student facing a 20-page research paper due in a month. The goal is intimidating and the temptation to delay is strong. Instead of giving in to that anxiety, they take 5 minutes for a reflective pause. They acknowledge the feeling of being overwhelmed. Then they dissect the project. The next step is not to write 20 pages, it is to find 5 relevant scholarly articles. And the step for today is not even that, it is to open their laptop and perform a single 30-minute search. This act of breaking down the mountain into a single, liftable stone transforms procrastination into progress. The reflection did not magically write the paper, but it cleared the fog of anxiety and revealed the path forward, one deliberate step at a time. Bring to mind one significant task you have been putting off. Now, in a moment of quiet reflection, move past the general feeling of avoidance and ask yourself what the true root of the hesitation is. Then, define the absolute first physical action required to begin. Is it to open a new document and write one sentence? Is it to send that difficult email by typing just the subject line? By making the starting point impossibly small and specific, you disarm the resistance, and your long-term focus gains the traction it needs to move forward. That critical voice in your head is a constant companion to deep work. It whispers that your effort is not good enough, that you should have accomplished more, or that you are fundamentally unprepared for the challenge you have set for yourself. Stoic reflection offers a radically different approach to this inner critic, one based not on silencing it, but on observing it with calm detachment. This is not about harsh self-judgment, which only drains your focus and energy. It is about learning to see your own assessments as passing thoughts, not absolute truths. The goal is to transform the critic from a saboteur into a source of constructive feedback. Marcus Aurelius provided the foundational mindset for this when he wrote, "Do not be disturbed by the things which you imagine, but keep quiet and consider the appearance as it is in its essence." He is reminding us that the event itself is one thing, but the story we tell ourselves about it, the layer of interpretation we add, is what truly causes our distress. A Stoic reflection session is where you practice stripping away that added layer to see the raw material of your experience. Imagine an artist spending an afternoon on a new drawing. At the end of the session, they look at their work and the immediate thought is, "This is terrible, I have no real talent." A reactive approach would be to take that verdict personally, feel discouraged, and perhaps avoid drawing for the next week. But an artist practicing Stoic reflection would notice that harsh thought and pause. They would observe the judgment impartially, as if it were a cloud passing in the sky. Then they would gently reframe the critique. Instead of a global failure, they might ask, what specifically feels off? Perhaps the perspective on the left side is inconsistent, or the shading lacks depth. This shift changes everything. The inner critic's vague condemnation is transformed into a specific, actionable insight for the next practice session. The drawing itself has not changed, but the artist's relationship to their own progress has been fundamentally altered. During your own next period of reflection, pay close attention to the language your inner voice uses. When you review a day that felt unproductive, does it say, "You did not use the time well," or "You struggled to follow through"? Catch these phrases as they arise. Then practice the simple act of labeling them. Silently note that is a judgment, or that is the critic speaking. This creates a tiny but crucial space between you and the thought. You are no longer the thought itself, you are the one who is aware of it. This gentle distance is the first step toward disarming its power, allowing you to reclaim the mental clarity necessary for sustained, focused work. How many of your decisions are made from a place of clarity versus reactivity? The majority of our daily choices are formed in the rushing current of the moment, shaped by fleeting emotions and unseen pressures. Regular interval reflection is the practice of stepping out of that current to build a decision log, a clear and honest record of your past choices and their true outcomes. This is not about judging your past self, but about gathering data to inform your future focus. The Stoic emphasis on reason provides the foundation for this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Your mind will be like its habitual thoughts, for the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." He is reminding us that our decision-making faculty is shaped by what we consistently feed it. By reflecting on our choices, we consciously dye our mind with the color of logic and foresight, rather than leaving it to be stained by the chaos of impulse. Consider a manager who made a hiring decision 6 months ago that did not work out as planned. The new team member had an impressive resume and interviewed well, but their collaborative style ultimately created friction within the established group. A reactive manager might simply feel frustration and rush to replace the person, but a reflective manager would sit down with their journal and review the decision. They would note the factors that seemed important at the time, the credentials, the confident answers. Then they would look at the outcome, the team friction. This reflection reveals a pattern, a clue that perhaps their hiring criteria were overweighted toward individual achievement and underweighted toward cultural fit and soft skills. This insight does not erase the current challenge, but it fundamentally sharpens their focus for the next hiring round. They now have a clearer, more reasoned set of priorities, turning one difficult outcome into a lasting improvement in their decision-making process. Take a moment to reflect on one significant decision you made in the past month. It could be a financial commitment, a professional project you accepted, or even a personal conversation you initiated. With gentle honesty, ask yourself what truly drove that choice. Was it aligned with a core value like growth or security, or was it motivated by an underlying concern, perhaps of missing out or of confrontation? Identifying the driving force behind your past decisions is how you begin to consciously choose the drivers for your future ones, ensuring your long-term focus is guided by intention, not by invisible currents. Focusing on what you already possess can be the very key to achieving what you desire. This Stoic insight reveals gratitude not as a soft sentiment, but as a powerful tool for focus. When your mind is clouded by worry over what you lack, your attention fragments, scattering across a landscape of imagined scarcity. The Stoic practice of negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum, directly counters this. It is the deliberate mental exercise of contemplating the temporary nature of the people and comforts you hold dear. By honestly considering that your health, your relationships, or your current security might not always be as they are, you do not invite fear. Instead, you perform a profound alchemy on your own perspective. The ordinary aspects of your life, which you may have taken for granted, are suddenly illuminated with value and significance. This cultivated awareness is the essence of gratitude, and it creates a quiet, settled mind, a mind ready for deep and sustained focus. Epictetus advised that wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This is the core of the shift from chasing more to fully appreciating enough. A mind content with enough is a mind freed from the constant pull of desire, a mind that can finally lock onto a single, meaningful objective. To integrate this, end your daily reflection with a simple practice. List 3 Stoic wins from your day. these are not just things that went well, but also potential difficulties that were avoided. Perhaps you completed a focused work session without checking social media, a small victory for your discipline. Maybe you avoided a minor traffic incident because you left 5 minutes early, a win for your foresight. Or perhaps you simply enjoyed a moment of genuine connection with a friend, a win for your humanity. This practice systematically trains your brain to spot the abundance already present in your life. Now bring to mind one utterly ordinary part of your existence, like the availability of clean water from your tap. For the next full minute, just sit with that reality and the quiet gratitude for it. Feel how that single, focused minute of appreciation pushes aside the noise of want, creating a clearer space for your most important work to begin. End your day not with exhaustion, but with a quiet sense of clarity. This is the gift of the Stoic Evening Review, a structured ritual that turns the final moments of your day into a foundation for the next. Seneca described his own nightly practice with beautiful simplicity. He would ask his own soul, what challenges have you moved through today? What habits have you gently shifted? In what part are you better? His aim was never to dwell on what was difficult, but to consolidate learning and reinforce progress. This is not about creating a long list of everything you wish had gone differently. It is a focused conversation with yourself, designed to extract wisdom from the raw material of your lived experience. A modern, simplified version of this review needs just 3 questions, asked with gentle honesty. First, what is one thing I did well today? Where did I act with intention or patience? This question actively trains your mind to spot your own strengths, building confidence. Second, what is one area where I could improve? Not a shortcoming, but a single point for gentle adjustment. And third, what is the core lesson today offered me? Perhaps you learned that a challenging conversation is better held after a short walk, or that checking email first thing scatters your focus for hours. By identifying this lesson, you transform a random event into a lasting piece of personal insight. The final step is to set a simple intention for tomorrow. Based on what you learned today, what one quality will you bring to your most important task? Will it be calm focus, creative courage, or patient listening? This closes the loop, turning reflection into forward momentum. For the next 3 nights, I invite you to this practice. Take just 3 minutes before you sleep. Find a quiet space and ask yourself these 3 questions. The cumulative effect is profound. You are no longer ending your days on autopilot, but with conscious direction, steadily building the clarity that makes long-term focus not just possible, but inevitable. How do you want to show up today? This single question, asked in the quiet of the morning, becomes the anchor for your entire day. Before the world makes its demands, you have the opportunity to set your own internal compass. This practice is the Stoic concept of premeditation, a brief but powerful morning reflection where you anticipate the day's likely challenges and consciously prepare to meet them with clarity and purpose. It is not about scripting your day or controlling every outcome. It is about fortifying your mind so that no matter what the day brings, your focus remains aligned with your long-term objectives. Marcus Aurelius began his own days with this mental preparation. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself the people you will deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." His intention was not to cultivate cynicism, but to build resilience. By anticipating friction, he was never surprised by it. He could then meet it with the virtue he had already decided upon, rather than being caught off guard by a reactive impulse. This morning ritual transforms you from a passive participant in your day into its active architect. Consider a teacher just before their first class begins. They take 5 minutes alone with their coffee, not to plan lessons but to set an intention. they reflect on their core value of patience and their long-term goal of creating a supportive learning environment. They anticipate that a particular student might test their patience today, and they mentally rehearse responding with calm guidance instead of frustration. This simple act of premeditation does not guarantee a perfect day, but it dramatically increases the likelihood that when the challenging moment arrives, the teacher's focus will remain on their deeper objective, not be hijacked by a momentary annoyance. Your own morning pause can be just as straightforward. Before you check your phone or dive into your to-do list, find just 3 minutes of stillness. Ask yourself, what is the single most important quality I wish to bring to my day today? Is it focus on a key project, patience with my team, or presence with my family? Then take it one step further. Gently anticipate one situation where it might be difficult to embody that quality, and see yourself in your mind's eye, navigating it with the intention you have set. This is how you build a day of proactive focus, one deliberate morning at a time. Your mind can sometimes feel like a web browser with far too many tabs open. Each one represents a worry, a task, a half-formed idea, all competing for your limited attention. This mental clutter is the silent enemy of deep focus, creating a background noise that fragments your concentration until meaningful work feels impossible. Interval reflection is the systematic process of closing those tabs. It is a form of mental decluttering where you deliberately identify and release the irrelevant concerns that are consuming your cognitive resources. By writing them down or simply noting them with intention, you are not just organizing your thoughts, you are actively telling your brain that it can let them go for now. This creates a spacious, quiet mental environment where your focus can finally settle on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius touched on this fundamental truth when he wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A mind filled with the clutter of a dozen unresolved concerns is dyed with anxiety and distraction. The practice of reflection is how you consciously choose a new color, one of clarity and calm purpose. Think of a project lead 2 days before a major deadline. Their mind is a whirlwind of last-minute details, potential problems, and team concerns. The feeling of pressure is palpable, making it hard to concentrate on any single task. Instead of pushing through the fog, they stop for a 10-minute reflection. They perform a simple brain dump, writing down every single worry and task, from the major presentation to the nagging thought that a key report might have a formatting error. The act of externalizing these thoughts onto paper is itself a release. It transfers the burden from their mind to the page. With the clutter visible, they can then apply the Stoic filter, distinguishing between what is within their control to address right now and what must simply be acknowledged and released. The result is not just a clearer list, it is a clearer mind, ready to engage with the work that actually moves the project forward. So, bring your own awareness to the browser of your mind right now. What are the top 3 mental tabs you have left open, the ones that keep pulling at your attention in the background? Identify them clearly. Now make a conscious choice. Select just one of those tabs and through a brief moment of reflection, decide to close it. This does not mean the issue is solved forever, but that you are giving your mind permission to set it aside, freeing up precious cognitive space for the deep, sustained focus your most important goal requires. The principles of Stoicism were forged not in quiet libraries, but in the fires of real-world turmoil. These philosophers faced political upheaval, personal challenges, and immense public pressure, and their daily practice of reflection was what allowed their focus to remain unbroken. Consider the story of Cato the Younger, a Roman senator known for his incorruptible integrity. In an era of widespread political influence, Cato was offered a strategic marriage that would have secured his power and wealth. It was a pragmatic move, one many of his peers would have accepted without a second thought. Yet Cato refused. His evening reflection would have been the space where he weighed this decision, not against temporary gain, but against his unwavering principle of justice. He understood that compromising his core values for an external reward would weaken his inner strength, making him incapable of the focused leadership Rome needed. His commitment was so absolute that his political opponents, including Julius Caesar, found him impossible to influence. Cato's life embodies the Stoic teaching that our power lies not in controlling events, but in governing our own judgments and actions, a lesson he would have reinforced through constant self-examination. A modern leader facing a similar ethical crossroad, perhaps a choice between a profitable but morally ambiguous deal and a less lucrative but principled path, can emulate this. During a moment of reflection, they would ask not which option is easier, but which one aligns with the core principle they wish to defend. By connecting their daily decision to a larger Stoic ideal, like Cato's integrity, they transform a business challenge into an opportunity to strengthen their long-term focus on building a legacy they can be proud of. Which Stoic figure from history resonates most with you, and what single quality of theirs could you begin to embody in your own reflections this week? The simplest tool for focus is one you carry with you every moment of your life. Your breath has always been the most immediate bridge back to the present, a truth the Stoics understood as the foundation of clear judgment. They saw the present moment not as something to endure, but as the only place where your reason and your power truly reside, and your breath is the physical key to unlocking that space. While the Stoics did not write explicit breathing exercises, their entire philosophy hinges on accepting the present willingly. Epictetus taught that happiness begins with a strict attention to your impressions and to assent to them only after testing them. Your conscious breath is the practice of that attention, a way to test the impression of chaos and choose not to be swept away by it. When a wave of distraction or anxiety arrives, your thinking mind can become a storm of what-ifs and I should-haves. But your breath is an anchor dropped into the center of that storm, a steady, physical rhythm that requires no thought, only awareness. This is how you practice assent to what is, not by agreeing with the turmoil, but by first grounding yourself in the undeniable reality of your body in this single moment. Try a 3-breath reflection the very next time you feel overwhelmed. It takes less than 30 seconds. Pause whatever you are doing. Place a hand on your stomach if it helps you feel the movement. With the first breath, simply notice the air entering your lungs. With the second, feel the brief stillness at the top of the inhalation. With the third, release the air slowly, letting go of the mental tension you are holding. Then, in the clarity of that tiny pause, ask yourself one quiet question. What is my task? Not the 10 tasks clamoring for attention, but the single, most important thing you can do right now. This micro-reflection does not solve all your problems, but it clears the static, allowing your focus to lock back onto the one thing that matters. The next time an email alert triggers a spiral of reactive thoughts or a difficult conversation leaves your mind racing, do not try to think your way out of it. Breathe your way back to center, and from that calm space, your long-term focus will find its footing once more. What if every setback is simply data waiting to be interpreted? The common definition of failure is a final verdict, a period at the end of a sentence. The Stoic definition is a comma, a pause for reflection that leads to a wiser continuation. In the Stoic view, the outcome of any endeavor is classified as an indifferent, neither good nor bad in itself. What truly matters is your virtuous response, the integrity and wisdom you exercise in the face of the result. Reflection is the tool that allows you to sift through the experience of a disappointing outcome to find the valuable feedback hidden within. Seneca understood this process intimately. He wrote that fire tests gold and adversity tests strong individuals. The difficulty itself is the very element that fortifies your resolve and sharpens your understanding, provided you engage with it reflectively rather than reactively. Consider an athlete after a significant loss. The reactive approach is a storm of self-blame and frustration, focusing on the final score as a measure of personal worth. But an athlete practicing stoic reflection would sit with the experience differently. They would acknowledge the disappointment, then turn their focus to what is within their control. They would review the game not to dwell on the loss, but to extract specific technical feedback. Was their positioning off during a key play? Did their energy drop in the final quarter? Did they miss opportunities for strategic passes? Each of these observations is not a failure, but a precise point for course correction in the next training session. The loss itself becomes a rigorous and invaluable teacher. Now bring to mind a recent experience you would label a setback, large or small. Perhaps a project that did not meet expectations or a conversation that went poorly. Instead of letting the label stand, take a moment for a reflective pause. Ask yourself, if this outcome is simply information, what 3 specific pieces of actionable feedback does it provide? Maybe you learn that you need to clarify communication earlier in a process, or that a certain task requires more focused time than you allotted. By listing these insights, you are not making excuses for the outcome. You are transforming it from a dead end into a directional sign, ensuring your long-term focus is informed and strengthened by every step of the journey. Patience feels like a rare superpower in a world built for instant results. We are conditioned to expect immediate answers and rapid progress, making the slow, steady work of a long-term goal feel almost unnatural. Yet this very patience is the quiet engine of every significant achievement, and consistent reflection is what builds it day by day. When you pause each evening to review your actions, you are not just looking at a single day. You are collecting data points on a much larger graph, one that reveals the subtle but undeniable curve of compound growth. A single session of focused work might feel insignificant, but recorded over weeks and months, these entries form a powerful testament to gradual progress. This documented evidence is the ultimate antidote to the frustration of feeling stuck, because it proves that you are, in fact, moving. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself of the patience required in all aspects of life. He wrote about accepting the things to which fate binds you, and loving the people with whom fate brings you together, but doing so with true and simple feelings. His meditation was on accepting the natural pace of events and the nature of those around him, focusing on his own reasoned response rather than demanding that the world move faster. This is the reflective mindset that cultivates deep patience, not as passive waiting, but as active, steady participation in a process. Consider a writer who feels discouraged after a month of working on a novel. The daily word count seems trivial against the goal of a full manuscript, but then they open their reflection journal from 6 months prior. The early entries show scattered ideas and hesitant paragraphs. Flipping through the pages, they see the progression, the days where a character suddenly came to life, the weeks where the plot solidified, the consistent accumulation of words that now totals hundreds of pages. The journal provides the objective proof that their patience is paying off. The completed manuscript is not a distant fantasy, but the direct and logical result of all those small, reflected upon actions. Your own long-term focus depends on this same evidence-based patience. Bring to mind one important goal that will take months or even years to achieve. It might be learning a skill, building a business, or improving a key relationship. Now, in a moment of quiet reflection, ask yourself this: what is the single smallest, most manageable step I can take today that aligns with that grand vision? Perhaps it is reading just 5 pages of a relevant book, or having one short, meaningful conversation, or practicing for 15 uninterrupted minutes. The goal is not to complete the journey today, but to take one clear step and to note it, creating another day to point on your personal map of progress. This is how you build the patience to see it through. How much of your mental energy is quietly drained by wondering what others think of you? This constant, low-grade concern for external approval is one of the most pervasive distractions from your long-term goals. The Stoics addressed this not by building a wall of indifference, but by cultivating a profound inner clarity about what is truly theirs to manage. Reflection is the daily practice that builds this clarity, allowing you to navigate social expectations with a steady sense of purpose. The philosopher Epictetus offered a liberating perspective when he wrote, "Remember, it is not the person who insults or strikes you who harms you, but the view you take of these things." The remark itself, the opinion of another, is an external event, a thing outside your control. The only potential difficulty comes from your own internal agreement with that opinion, from letting it shape your self-worth and shift your focus. Your evening reflection is where you practice withdrawing that agreement. It is where you sit with a challenging social moment and gently untangle the event from your judgment of it. Imagine coming home from a gathering where you felt quietly questioned about a life choice, perhaps your career path or a personal priority. The feeling of being evaluated lingers, creating a background hum of unease. Instead of dwelling on the comment, you take a few minutes for a structured reflection. You acknowledge the event, the words that were shared. Then you apply the Stoic filter. The other person's opinion is firmly in the category of things not within your control. Your own values, your reasoning for your choices, and your commitment to your path, these are entirely within your power. The reflection is not about proving them wrong, but about reaffirming your own right to choose your direction. By consciously sorting the social input in this way, you reclaim the mental energy that was being spent on seeking approval or explaining your position. This energy is now free to be reinvested in the focused work that actually moves you forward. Bring to mind one opinion from someone else that is currently taking up space in your thoughts. It could be a colleague's uncertainty about a project or a family member's hope that weighs on you. Now, in a moment of quiet reflection, visualize yourself gently setting that opinion down. You are not dismissing the person, but you are consciously placing their viewpoint back into its proper category, as an external item that does not command your focus. Feel the lightness that comes from this simple act of mental sorting, creating a clearer path for your own intentions to lead the way. Your greatest source of focus might be found by contemplating what you could lose. This is the heart of the Stoic practice known as Premeditatio Malorum, or the Premeditation of Challenges, a counterintuitive exercise that builds profound resilience. It is not about pessimism or inviting fear, but about a deliberate and honest rehearsal of life's impermanence. By mentally visiting the potential absence of what we hold dear, we strip away the assumption that it will always be there, revealing its true value with startling clarity. Seneca powerfully advocated for this when he wrote that he would spend time imagining that he might lose his property, his status, or his friends. He did this not to suffer, but to ensure that if such a change ever occurred, it would not be a devastating shock, and that while he had these gifts, he would never take them for granted. This practice systematically trains the mind to see the present moment not as a stepping stone to some future happiness, but as the very ground where your focus must be planted. Imagine applying this to your most important work. Take just 1 minute to visualize that the project you are currently focused on, the one that defines your professional purpose, is suddenly gone. Perhaps a market shift renders it obsolete, or a personal circumstance invites you to set it aside, sit with that feeling of emptiness for a brief moment. Then open your eyes and return to the reality where the project is still yours to pursue. Notice the immediate shift in your perception. The minor frustrations and distractions associated with the work often fade, replaced by a sharpened sense of opportunity and a renewed clarity on why you began it in the first place. This reflective pause has not changed the work itself, but it has fundamentally changed your relationship to it, fueling your focus with a deep and enduring appreciation. For the next 60 seconds, choose one comfort you rarely consider, like the reliable device you are using or the safety of your current environment. Now gently visualize it no longer being available to you. Do not dwell on the mechanics of the change, simply sit with the feeling of its absence. When the minute is complete, bring your awareness back. What new layer of gratitude for this ordinary part of your life can you now bring into your next focused session, transforming a background comfort into an active reason to concentrate? The belief that you do not have time is the very obstacle reflection is designed to overcome. A busy schedule does not eliminate the need for clarity, it makes it essential. The Stoics were deeply engaged in political and social life, yet they carved out sacred spaces for self-examination because they understood that a life without reflection is a life adrift. The goal is not to find an extra hour, but to weave moments of awareness into the life you are already living. Seneca directly addressed this when he wrote that people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be mindful. This is the core of the practice, being intentional with the scattered minutes you already possess. Start with micro-reflections, pauses as brief as 30 seconds. The moment you hang up from a difficult call, instead of immediately rushing to the next task, take 3 conscious breaths and ask, did I respond from my principles or my pressures? During your commute, instead of filling the silence with more noise, use it as a moving sanctuary to ask, what is one thing within my control right now? You can even set a gentle reminder on your phone, not as an alarm, but as an invitation, a prompt to pause and check your intention. The power is in the consistency of these tiny intervals, not their length. They are like drops of water that, over time, will wear away the stone of distraction. Attach a single question to an existing anchor habit. After you pour your morning coffee, while you wait for it to cool, ask yourself, what is the one quality I want to bring to this day? This pairs the new practice of reflection with an established ritual, making it almost effortless to maintain. The question itself becomes a compass, setting your direction before the day's demands begin to pull you. Identify one small routine you already do without fail, like locking your door at night or brushing your teeth. Now pair it with one simple, reflective question. This tiny integration is how you build a life of examined focus, one anchored moment at a time. Sometimes the solution arrives only when you stop forcing it. This is the subtle link between Stoic reflection and creative insight, where a calm and receptive mind becomes a conduit for breakthrough ideas. The practice of stepping back to reflect creates an open mental space, free from the pressure of immediate answers. In this quiet, your subconscious mind is free to work, connecting disparate pieces of information in novel ways. This is what psychologists call the incubation period, a phase where stepping away from active problem solving allows for a deeper, more intuitive form of thought to emerge. The Stoics understood the value of this receptive state, not in terms of creativity, but as a path to tranquility. Marcus Aurelius touched on the necessary mindset when he wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This wholehearted acceptance of the present moment without resistance is what quiets the frantic search for a solution and allows a deeper intelligence to surface. Consider a graphic designer working on a visual identity for a new client. The more they push for a concept, the more stagnant and forced their ideas become. After stepping away from the screen for a long walk with no agenda other than to reflect, they are not actively trying to solve the design problem, but they carry it lightly in their awareness. As they walk, observing the patterns of tree bark and the geometry of city architecture, their mind, freed from direct pressure, makes a subconscious connection. The client's core value of sustainability suddenly links with the image of layered sediment in a riverbank, suggesting a logo built from organic, overlapping forms. The designer returns to their desk not with a strained idea, but with a clear and inspired solution that seemed to arrive on its own. The reflection created the fertile ground for that insight to grow. The next time you feel truly stuck on a challenging problem, whether in your work or your personal life, experiment with this approach. Intentionally pause your direct effort. Take a walk or simply sit quietly and bring the problem to mind without any demand for an answer. Observe it with gentle curiosity, as if you were studying an interesting object. Notice the thoughts and associations that arise without judgment, and then let them go. You may be surprised to find that the answer often appears not in the struggle, but in the spacious silence that follows. Every single one of us operates from a personal philosophy, a set of guiding beliefs that directs our choices and our attention. The real question is whether that philosophy was built by your conscious design or accumulated by default through years of unexamined reactions. Interval reflection is the workshop where you take control of this process, actively forging the principles that will lock your focus onto what is meaningful. It is here that you question your automatic assumptions, define the virtues you wish to embody, and craft the mental framework that will steer you through distraction. The Stoic teacher Epictetus pointed directly to this foundational work when he said that the first and most important task in philosophy is to examine our impressions, to test them rigorously before we accept them as truth. Your daily reflection is that examination in practice. It is where you catch a fleeting impression, like the thought that a difficult task is too overwhelming, and you hold it up to the light of your deeper principles. You ask, is this truly an immovable obstacle, or is this an impression I can choose to reinterpret? By testing these impressions, you are not just managing your day, you are building the very lens through which you see your world. Think of someone who notices through consistent reflection that they repeatedly become frustrated in team meetings. The default philosophy might be to blame others for not listening. But in the quiet space of reflection, they examine this impression. They realize their own principle is missing, a rule to guide their own behavior. They decide to adopt a new personal tenet: seek first to understand. The next time they enter a meeting, this is not just a vague idea, it is their operating philosophy. They consciously listen more, ask clarifying questions before stating their own case, and find the dynamic shifts because their own focus has shifted from being heard to understanding. This is how a reflective habit builds a philosophy for focus, one examined impression at a time. Take a moment now to reflect on your own guiding principles. What is one core rule you want to consciously adopt to direct your focus this month? It could be something like progress over perfection, or my energy is for building, not for complaining. Write this single principle down. This act of writing transforms a vague intention into a tangible part of your personal philosophy, a beacon you can return to in your next interval of reflection when the noise of the world tries to pull you off course. A new opportunity appears and immediately promises to solve everything. This is the allure of the shiny object, a siren call that can pull even the most dedicated person off their chosen path. In a world of endless possibilities, the real challenge is not finding opportunities, but discerning which ones are worthy of your finite focus. Stoic interval reflection serves as your anchor in these tempting currents, providing the mental clarity to see the difference between a genuine step forward and a distracting detour. It is the practice of weighing a new idea not against its surface-level excitement, but against the solid weight of your core values and existing commitments. This is the practical application of the Stoic virtue of discipline, which is less about self-denial and more about the profound self-respect of honoring your deepest intentions. The philosopher Seneca understood this deeply when he advised that we must be especially wary of the thing that we desire, for we may be drawn to it not for its true value, but for its novelty. He warned against a mind that is scattered and never settles with satisfaction on any one purpose, a clear description of the shiny object syndrome that plagues our modern attention. Reflection is the tool that gathers that scattered mind and helps it settle once more. Imagine a freelance designer already committed to a long-term project building a brand for a sustainable company. A new client appears offering a short-term, highly lucrative project in a completely different, flashier industry. The immediate financial gain is powerful. A reactive mind might jump at the chance, adding a chaotic and misaligned task to their workload, but a reflective mind pauses. That evening, the designer sits with their journal and applies the Stoic filter. They write down the offer and then list their core values, which include authenticity and environmental impact. They review their existing commitment to the long-term project, which aligns perfectly with those values. The new project, while profitable, represents a divergence from their chosen path. The reflection does not make the decision for them, but it illuminates the true cost, which is not just time, but a fragmentation of their professional identity and focus. They choose to respectfully decline, protecting the clarity required to see their primary goal to completion. Now, bring to mind one shiny object currently tempting your own attention. It could be a new business idea, a different fitness routine, or a sudden impulse to learn a complex skill. Hold it in your thoughts. Now, gently evaluate it against your single most important long-term goal. Ask yourself with honest curiosity, does pursuing this new direction strengthen my commitment to that primary objective, or does it quietly pull energy and attention away from it? This simple, reflective question is how you build the discipline to stay your course, ensuring your focus is invested, not merely scattered. A single drop of water seems to have no power at all. Yet over years, its steady rhythm can carve a channel through solid rock. This is the quiet force behind your daily reflections, a practice whose true power is revealed not in one session, but in their unwavering accumulation. Each brief pause to examine your day is another drop, slowly but surely shaping the bedrock of your mindset and carving out a deep, unwavering channel for your focus to flow. The understanding of personal growth found in ancient philosophy mirrors the principle of compound interest in finance. A tiny, consistent investment of self-awareness does not just add up, it multiplies, building profound wisdom and resilience from seemingly insignificant daily deposits. One thinker captured this perfectly when he wrote that constant diligence arrives at its goal, while haste rushes past it. It is the steady, repeated application of reflection that forges an unshakable character, not the occasional, intense burst of introspection. Imagine opening a reflection journal you have faithfully kept for one full year. As you flip through the pages, you do not see a list of individual days, but a clear narrative of transformation. Early entries might show a mind easily scattered by external opinions or quick to label small obstacles as temporary challenges. But as the months pass, the tone shifts. The entries become more measured, focusing less on what went wrong and more on the lessons drawn from each experience. You see a pattern of clarified purpose emerging, where your focus has consistently been guided back to the few things truly within your power. This documented journey is the ultimate proof of the compound effect, a story of how small, daily investments in clarity built a significant shift in your entire approach to life and work. The commitment is simple, but the reward is profound. Choose one tiny reflection practice to commit to for the next 21 days. It could be answering just one question each evening, like what was the most valuable use of my focus today, or simply writing one sentence about a lesson learned. Do not worry about depth or length, only consistency. As you perform this small ritual each day, trust in the quiet, cumulative work it is doing, carving a path through the noise toward the focused life you are building. Your focus is a flame that requires fuel, not just an empty space on your calendar. We often meticulously schedule our time while completely neglecting the internal resources needed to power our attention. Stoic reflection offers a profound shift, moving you from managing minutes to stewarding your energy. It teaches you to monitor your inner world, to notice which tasks deplete your spirit and which practices restore your capacity for deep work. This awareness allows you to align your most demanding efforts with your natural rhythms of mental vitality. Marcus Aurelius touched on this inward tending when he wrote in his Meditations that the soul is the master of itself, and it can turn any obstacle into fuel. Your soul, your core energy, knows its own needs if you learn to listen. Reflection is that practice of listening. It is how you discover that a challenging meeting at 10 in the morning can drain your focus for the entire afternoon, or that a brief walk outside after lunch consistently clears your mind for a productive second half of the day. To start applying this, try a simple energy audit during your next reflection. On a piece of paper, draw a simple line to represent your waking day. Then, mark it with highs and lows, noting the times when your mental focus felt sharp and when it felt scattered or low. Do this for just 3 days, and you will begin to see a clear map of your personal energy landscape. This is not about judging the lows, but about understanding them. With this map, you can make thoughtful choices, scheduling your most important work during your peak energy windows and saving routine tasks for your natural lulls. Now take a quiet moment to ask yourself 2 revealing questions. What single recurring activity in my week consistently drains my mental energy, leaving me feeling scattered? And what one practice, no matter how small, reliably restores a sense of calm and clarity? By identifying these, you move from being a passenger of your energy cycles to becoming their wise and intentional guide. For the Stoics, wisdom without action is meaningless. A profound idea that is never applied is simply a beautiful thought, not a virtue. This is the vital interplay between reflection and action, where your quiet contemplation becomes the springboard for purposeful movement in the world. Reflection is never an end in itself. It is the deliberate pause that clarifies your intention, ensuring that the actions you take are aligned with your deepest principles and long-term goals. This creates a powerful cycle. You reflect to gain clarity, you act with that clarified intention, and then you reflect again on the results of your action, gathering new wisdom for the next cycle. Marcus Aurelius, a man whose responsibilities demanded constant action, wrote directly to this point, reminding himself to stop talking about what a good person is and just be one. He was urging himself to move from theory into practice, to embody his philosophy in every decision. Consider a team leader who feels a growing disconnect within their group. During an evening reflection, they identify a pattern, realizing their communication has become sporadic and task-focused, leaving the team feeling unsupported. This reflection clarifies their intention to foster a greater sense of connection and psychological safety. The very next day, they act on this insight by implementing a simple change, a weekly check-in meeting where the only agenda is to listen to team challenges and ideas without immediately jumping to solutions. This is the springboard from thought to deed. Then, a week later, they reflect again on this action, observing the team's response, noting a slight shift in morale, and refining their approach for the following week. The reflection gave birth to a focused action, and the outcome of that action then became the fuel for further, wiser reflection. This is how you build momentum, where your focus is continuously sharpened by the feedback loop between your inner world and your outer efforts. Take a moment now to bring to mind one single insight you have gathered from this exploration of Stoic reflection. It could be the power of the dichotomy of control, the value of a nightly review, or the importance of aligning actions with values. Now push that insight one step further into the world of action. What is one concrete, specific step you will take in the next 24 hours to embody this understanding? Loneliness aches with a sense of absence, while solitude hums with a presence of mind. The Stoics did not run from the world, but they deliberately sought out quiet spaces to reclaim their own thoughts. This voluntary solitude was the essential condition for the deep reflection that sharpened their long-term vision, a practice of stepping away from the crowd to hear their own inner counsel more clearly. Seneca championed this retreat, writing that we must take ourselves away to find ourselves. He described how we must periodically withdraw into ourselves for intervals of rest, for a mind that is never quiet can never grow strong. This is not about isolation, but about creating a sanctuary for your attention, a place where the external noise fades and your core intentions can resonate without interruption. To cultivate this today, schedule a solitude appointment with yourself. It requires no special equipment, only a commitment to be alone with your thoughts for a brief period. Find 15 minutes in a quiet park or a still room in your home. Leave your devices behind. This is not time for planning or problem solving, but for pure, open reflection. Sit with the simple question, what is truly important to me right now, and listen to the answer that rises from the quiet. Your mind, freed from the constant input of others, will begin to untangle the threads of your purpose. This week, challenge yourself to just 10 minutes of this intentional solitude. Notice how the initial restlessness gives way to a deeper calm, and how a single clear thought can emerge from the silence, guiding your focus for the days ahead. The blank page in your journal can feel like an accusation. You want your first entry to be profound, a perfect summary of a day lived with Stoic wisdom, and so you put it off until tomorrow when you might finally get it right. This desire for a flawless practice is the very obstacle that stops reflection before it begins. The ancient Stoics were not concerned with perfection, but with sincere and consistent effort. They understood that the goal is the practice itself, the ongoing act of aligning your attention, not the creation of an ideal record. A missed day or a messy, one-sentence entry is not a failure. It is part of the human journey toward clarity, a stumbling step that is infinitely more valuable than no step at all. The philosopher Seneca offered gentle encouragement for this, writing that every day we should make some progress, even if it is a tiny step, for consistent diligence achieves its goal. He reminds us not to demand the impossible of ourselves, but to celebrate the forward motion, however small it may seem. Consider Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the known world. His personal journal, the Meditations, was not a polished manuscript. It is a collection of raw, repetitive, and sometimes seemingly disjointed thoughts. He had days of soaring insight and nights of simple, firm reminders to himself. He was not creating a masterpiece for others. He was engaging in the process of reflection, and in that honest, imperfect effort, he forged one of history's most resilient minds. Your own practice can carry the same power. It asks only for your honest presence, not your perfect performance. So bring to mind one area where your own perfectionism holds you back, where the fear of a messy start keeps you from beginning at all. Now, in this quiet moment, grant yourself a simple permission. Give yourself the grace to be good enough to write one unpolished sentence, to reflect for 2 imperfect minutes. This small, consistent, and forgiving effort is the true path to building the unwavering focus you seek. Your focus does not have to be a fragile thing, constantly broken by the next distraction or setback. The system of Stoic interval reflection offers a practical and deeply sustainable path to the mental clarity you need. It is not a rigid discipline of self-denial, but a gentle, consistent practice of returning to yourself. We have walked through the core ideas that make it so powerful. The dichotomy of control teaches you to invest your energy only where it can make a difference. The power of small, consistent practices, like a nightly review or a morning intention, shows that transformation happens in accumulated moments, not grand gestures. And the transformation of obstacles into fuel ensures that every challenge you face only sharpens your resolve and clarifies your path. Marcus Aurelius left us with a unifying truth when he wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your daily reflections are the dye you choose, the conscious decision to color your mind with clarity, resilience, and purpose, rather than leaving it to be stained by chaos and reaction. So here is a final question for you to sit with. What one small reflective practice will you commit to starting tomorrow to strengthen your own long-term focus? It could be one sentence in a journal, one intentional breath before a meeting, or one quiet minute to align your actions with your values. I would love to hear what you choose. Share your commitment in the comments below, and if you are ready to build this focus together, subscribe for more Stoic